Hello, this is Kyle here. I moved a little bit. I'm going to do another video on astrology here. I'm going to be going through all the planets and whatnot and what that means. And you have I might go into some other stuff too at the end. You have your sun sign, which that is the core of your personality. It is how you see yourself in the world and how you go about acting that way. But it's how you see yourself. But not everyone knows their self, though. That's kind of the difference. Now, me, I have sun in the first house. So I have Leo ascendant, Leo sun. They're like 3 or 4 degrees apart. And that means, as some people, when they mature, they understand themselves better and whatnot. But with a person who has sun in the first house, they pretty much know them. They just know. It's something that their personality, and they just know themselves. It's that, and that's that. There's no. What you see is what you get, pretty much, with the sun in the first house. Now, the moon is your emotional nature. It is how you feel. Now, I have moon in Cancer, so I'm talking Western here. Moon in Cancer, that means I feel things a lot more deeper than someone else would. And my moon's in the 12th house, so that really means that I'm not going to show it, though. But on the inside, I feel deeply. But as, for example, the only place I will let myself cry is if I'm in my room alone. But that is moon in Cancer, or moon. Then you have Mercury. That is your mind and how you communicate. Now, mine is in Leo. It's retrograde, which is something. Retrograde is. It happens every couple weeks a year. Three times for like 3 weeks a year. There's a period where planets will go retrograde, at least Mercury. And retrograde Mercury, I might take longer to understand something. However, I'm going to retain it better, pretty much. Once I learn it, and that's that. And Mercury is your mind and how you think. And depending on what sign and house it's in, also determines how that plays out in your life. Then you have Venus. Venus is the planet of love. And mine's in Leo, which means I'm very generous. It's also in the first house, which means people generally like me. And then with Venus in whatever sign and house you have, that also determines how that plays into your life, and what other aspects you have in terms of other planets in your chart. And I have Venus opposite Saturn and square Pluto, along with Mercury. And those all play into each other in like a give and take kind of thing. Which I can go a lot deeper into my natal chart. And then we have, let's see, Jupiter. I have Mars. I'm trying to go in order. Mars is in my 11th house in Gemini. So Mars, 11th house is house of friends, things you gain and stuff like that. And Mars in Gemini is generally someone who is, I'd say, quick-witted, or they'd always have something to say. Not in like a bad way, but they could think of things fast. They wouldn't, if someone were to say something, they would be able to come right back on the spot. That's pretty much me. And Mars is also your sexual nature and all those fun things. And then we have Jupiter, which Jupiter is, I should say, what you're attracted to. Jupiter is your wealth, how that comes about into your life, or things that expand. Expanding things. I have Jupiter in Virgo in my second house. And Virgo is about your everyday job, or things that related to health. And Jupiter in the second house is related to wealth and how that comes about into your life. Essentially, I create it, really, and I would be good at managing my own money. Now, if I had Jupiter in the 8th house, I'd be good at managing other people's money. And then, let's see, my Saturn is in Aquarius in my 7th house. So Saturn in Aquarius is about let me think. I'm thinking about how to explain it. It's kind of a generational, for every 3 years it goes through a sign. Jupiter's every 1 year. So people who were born 3 years or a year and a half to a year later, then you would all have that same sign, Saturn, generally speaking, if you were born in the middle of that period. Now, Saturn in Aquarius is about societal relationships and like pretty much human rights, and how that all plays into things, and pretty much it's like the limits that society should put on people, and Saturn there is good at managing that. And then an individual's chart, though, it'd be more about how being eccentric or genius, or being different in their own way, I should say. Then Saturn in the 7th house deals with relationships, so generally speaking, a person with Saturn in the 7th house might not date a whole lot in their adult life, or they might not marry. They take the relationship seriously. I'm not saying they might not marry. They might not marry early on because they take the relationship seriously. They're going to wait for that one person. And for Saturn in the 7th house, that can bring up a lot of fears regarding that area, but the one person is worth the wait. Then we have, I think it's Uranus. Uranus. Uranus is all about change and bringing new things into the equation, I would say. Uncertainty, but in a good way most of the time. But Uranus is also different in its own way. And then I have Uranus and Capricorn in the 6th house. Uranus and Capricorn, they would go about business matters differently, I would think. And they would also have maybe something new about bringing something new to business world, or doing things differently. And then your 6th house is also your house of health and whatnot, so or house of pets too. So I myself might have like an eccentric pet or something out of the ordinary, as an example. Not that I do, but not that everyone would have something like that, but it just as an example, that's what that could mean. And then health matters, which means I can deal with like psychosomatic illness, or have a bunch of different health conditions that someone may not generally have. My Neptune is in Capricorn in the 6th house. They're a degree apart, yet Uranus and Neptune in my chart, and they're both opposite my moon, which is like in that middle degree. So I have a direct opposition with these. I have a conjunction between Uranus and Neptune, and then it's opposite my moon, directly opposite. Neptune is about delusions or illusions. It can be about delusions, but it's a lot about how you see things with rose-colored glasses. Neptune and Capricorn I haven't really looked up a whole lot on. But Neptune in the 6th house, I could see kind of maybe everyday work with rose-colored glasses, or I could also, as far as health goes, well, since I do have Neptune and the moon are very sensitive planets, so that makes, and I have moon in Cancer, that makes it I'm very perceptive, and I would say sensitive to the outside world, so I can pick up on emotions very quickly. I can really detect if there's like sadness or tension in a room. I'm gonna pick it up, or any kind of emotions or anything like that, dealing with other people. I'm gonna pick it up, whether I want to or not. It's just a thing that I was born that way, and my chart reflects that. I don't know a whole lot about Neptune in the 6th house. And then we have Pluto. Pluto is in my 4th house, and it's in Scorpio, which is its rulership. Pluto in the 4th house, which would also relate to Pluto in Cancer, that would go back to the greatest generation. But with it being in the 4th house, it's a little different. So we have Pluto in Cancer. They went through a lot, and I think my generation so far has gone through a lot, but in a different way. We've seen when we were born, there was the AIDS stuff going on. Then we had Desert Storm, 9/11. Now this virus thing going around. We've just been through a lot as millennials, and having that experience is a good thing. And then we've had 2008. We've just been through a lot. think we're going to have a technology boom in a couple years, which will be really nice over this couple of next years, maybe decade or so. But that'll be really interesting too, to see how life will change as far as technology goes. And then Pluto and Scorpio, that's pretty much a generational thing, so anyone who's a millennial would have that. And they pretty much go to the depths of things. Like there's no let me think of how to explain this. Pluto and Scorpio. I'm really having a brain fart right now. But they would go to like the depths of things. Scorpio is all about deep and or hidden things too, the occult. All of that's interesting. Unknown things too. And like I said, they go deep, so there's really no stone left unturned, I would say. But there's also power there too. And Pluto is also, it's about, some say, oh, it's about destruction and all this stuff, which it is, but it's also about rebirth and regeneration, I would say too, or like the phoenix rising from the ashes. So it has its good side, no matter, it might be dark, but it has its good side too. Like Darth Vader, for example. He's got his good side. But that's an example of planets